Shalom, beloved, and hopefully everyone is doing wonderful on this fine day. Just sitting here thinking about the resolution that was brought forward by the Ghanaian president, a resolution to deal with the enslavement and the trafficking of African peoples and the greatest atrocity or crime that was known to humanity, the transatlantic slave trade, and what form of reparations, again, should be brought forward. And I'm not surprised at all how certain countries voted, especially the countries that voted against, right? We know that the United States voted against, Argentina voted against, and also is not real. But there's a connection between these nations that most people not really understand, right? We know that Argentina has a history of racial biases and also discrimination against people of color. But also the United States has given them like $20 billion, I want to say last year. So they have that kind of connection, right? And the United States, we know the ideology in history in this country, right? Because Argentina has they share that same kind of ideology in history. But again, dealing with the United States and not only the ideology and the history of enslavement of my people, these people will not hold themselves accountable. And it's not real. Most people don't even know that it's not real, or the so-called Jewish community played a large role, played a great role in also this trafficking of said people, right? When it came down to the ships and even the selling of said people. And there's a lot of books out there. Maybe I'll do a video on that down the road. But again, for those that may not understand this, here's some, I'll just give you a few books that you may can look up. The Jews in Spain and Portugal and the Inquisition is a book you can look up. A New Voyage to Italy with Curious Observation of several other countries is another book you can look up. The Jews Selling Blacks is another book. And I want to say Jews and Negro Slavery is another book. And there's a lot more out there. But anyway, for those that are doubt, for those doubters that are out there. So let me just put that out, get that out of the way right fast. And as far as the nations that wanted to vote abstention, right? They wanted to remain neutral. And most of these were European countries. And when you understand the role that European countries of the UN, the United Nations, right, what they played in this, then you begin to understand why these European nations voted the way they voted. Because again, to vote for it means you have to not only pay, but again, you have to put forth the information. And these nations, these countries have the information. They know who the real people are. So all these nations are really in this together to really hide this. They're, the ones that wanted to remain neutral, they're just trying to sit back and see how this stuff plays out. But at the end of the day, they really don't realize that the Most High is in total control, right? He has hardened Pharaoh's heart. And again, we're just sitting back, those of us that really understand this and know the prophetic nature of this. We see this playing out, and all praise the Most High, right? But for those that are still puzzled, especially my people still puzzled about this, again, you need to repent and get yourself closer to the Most High. And especially some of these Gentiles that will say, well, the Ashkenazi Jews, they don't really belong to the land, but yet you're afraid to say who are the real people. I mean, you're just as bad as the nations that want to remain neutral. You know these are not the real people, but you don't never say who the real people are. Anyway, that's what I see. You may not see that. With that being said, as usual, peace, love. Shalom.